News.buzz. Arguing for the end of adult marijuana prohibition is easy because we have facts, science, reason, compassion, evidence, truth, and logic on our side. It is even easier when researchers catalog it all for us. Learn how to gather the facts on marijuana use, arrests, seizures, rehabs, drug tests, and more in this edition of Drug War Data Mining.
All right, welcome back, everyone. 22 after the hour. And in the Drug War Data Mine today, we're going to continue along with our look at simple Excel use. You know, maybe a lot of people out there already know how to run Excel pretty well, and this is some basic stuff. But, you know, there's others that may have not had this opportunity, and I'm using a little bit of my experience as an Excel instructor, some of the day job I had before I got into this, to perhaps help people out. Yesterday, we gave you the basics of putting together a simple election chart where we would have a place like, say, Oregon, vote, and the number of votes yes and votes no for a particular measure. In this case, these are the numbers for Measure 91, and how to come up with a percentage. Percentage, of course, being able to divide the yes votes by the total number of votes, and we came up with this formula, B2 divided by parentheses, B2 plus C2, close parentheses. The nice thing about Excel is once you come up with a formula, it's really easy to use it in other places. And let's just remind you of some of the tricks that we were using yesterday. We're going to come up with a new column here, difference, to tell us what the difference was in votes from yes to no. And anytime you want to do a formula, you just start it with equals. And I like to use the mouse to select what we're going to use. So we want to find out what is the yes votes, clicking on that, B2, typing minus, and then clicking on C2, the no votes. B2 minus C2 gives us the answer of 179,107 votes. So quite a overwhelming majority there for Measure 91 as you look at it. Now, suppose you also wanted to figure out some of the other states. You wanted to keep track on election night of Florida and Washington, D.C., and Alaska. The nice thing about Excel is you don't have to reinvent the wheel. My favorite part of Excel is this little dot in the corner. I don't know if you can see that little dot, but when you move your little white cross cursor toward it, it turns into a black cross, a thinner black cross. That little thin black cross is like magic, and I'll show you how. You've already got this one row. Oregon, it's yes and no votes, its percentage, and its difference. And you'd like to have 3 more rows that are exactly like that. It's really simple. Once you've highlighted the cells that you already like, grab that little dot, make sure it's turned into a black cross before you start clicking and dragging. But once you see that black cross, click and drag down 3 more rows. This will copy all of those items down for you. Now it's just a matter of getting rid of the stuff you don't need. Now, be careful at this point because you don't want to lose these percentages or these differences because these are formulas. And if you're never sure if they're formula, just click on them and you can tell up there in this little spot that, yeah, that's a formula. Notice how the formula's changed. When it was in this cell, it was B2 and C2. But when it moved down a row, it's B3 and C3. Excel's smart enough to adjust those formulas to match whichever row it's in. So all we need to do is to get rid of just the parts that aren't formulas. Now you could do this manually because this is a really small spreadsheet. It's very easy to just select those and press delete and you'd be done. However, I have a trick that will help you to pick things in a spreadsheet that aren't formulas. If you press Control G, as in golf, you'll get this pop-up that says Go To. And in this little button at the bottom of this Go To pop-up, if you choose Special, you can choose all sorts of interesting things. Things that are not formulas are called constants. If you pick constants, you can choose what kind of constants, numbers, text, logicals, and errors, and we'll deal with those in another lesson. If we choose just numbers, in this case, we're saying just highlight the cells that have numbers typed into them rather than formula numbers. Clicking OK there will highlight just those vote total numbers. Wouldn't help us in this example because we don't want to lose the Oregon numbers. But for future reference, just realize that Control G and Special have some pretty interesting things. We can get rid of what we don't want. And you'll notice this thing that says div 0. That's just because you don't have numbers filled in. As soon as you fill in numbers, even if it's as low as 10 to 5, you're going to start getting your formulas to fill in. And as you get more numbers throughout the night, you can fill those in and the formulas will automatically change for you. This is how I was able to update the big board for our marijuana election night 2014. If you want more